Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. First of all, I would like to introduce myself and our group members. My name is Hambali Bin Amin. Our group members also consist Afridatul Sharmizan Binti Roslan and Alexter Anak Logie. I would also like to thank Dr. Ida Izumi for guiding us in completing this assignment. Our presentation topic today is dispute between employees, in bracket union and employers. As an example in explaining this topic, we have selected an article from the New Straits Times that 2nd March 2020, title is Factory Workers Demand Higher Wages. For the introduction part, as I told earlier, our group chose the title Dispute Between Employees, in bracket union and employers. The purpose of this project is for us to understand more about trade union. Besides that, we are able to learn more about problems that develop between employees and their employers in both the public and private sectors. Through this project, also, we can find out the good working atmosphere provided by Feedforward, encourage employees to calculate risk and foster a more honest and open interaction between manager and employee. According to the article that we choose on the conflict between employees, union and employers, there are many problems between the steel factory workers union and their employer at Jalan Chen Ferry. First and foremost, the inability of the plant management to renew an agreement is a key problem that may be noted in the essay. As a result, the staff at a steel mill in Jalan Chen Ferry request that their employer resolve a compensation adjustment issues that has been pending for almost a year. The employees' wage adjustment, some of whom have worked for the company for more than 30 years, have been influenced by this problem. Abdul Halim Ismail, a 39 years old employee, claimed that since he began working there, this is the first time problem regarding the company inability to renew the agreement had come up. Prior to this, he claimed to have been employed by the plant for the last 20 years, earning a salary of Rm 1,700 per month or up to Rm 2,500 per month with overtime. Another concern that is apparent from the report is the possibility of taking the factory's employer to corporate court if no decision has been reached regarding the workers' salary adjustment. The problem comes when the employer selects a single rise with benefit for the workers, notwithstanding the Malaysian Union Trade Congress (MUTC) several recommendations to lighten the company's law. Finally, the problem arises between the employees and their employer when they participate in a peaceful protest early to express the unhappiness with the business. There were roughly 18 employees present for the demonstration in front of the facility. A same demonstration was also held at a different plant run by the same company in Ibong Tebal. Some workers even brought banners that said, "Majikan untung juta-juta, pekerja rugi. Pengurusan tak berhati perut and hak kerja terabai." This demonstrates that they have harbored their displeasure with the employer for considerable amount of time. Thank you. And I pass for the next slide to my group members. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Afridatul Sharmizan Binti Roslan, student ID number 2021289956. Today I'm going to present regarding parties involved in the issue between the company and the workers' union. A small number of stakeholders are also involved in every problem. The first issue involved the steel mill workers union and their employer. The workers union stake a protest against their employer as a result of the factory management failure to extend the salary adjustment agreement. Next, Mr. V. Vijayan, an industrial relation officer for the northern region of the Malaysian Trade Unions Congress (MTUC), had a conversation with the steel factory's employer. They both had a few conversations about the wage adjustment issue, where the Malaysian Trade Unions Congress (MTUC) had already put out a number of recommendations to make management of the business easier. Employees of the steel factory and those at other facilities owned by the same corporation are the parties involved in the third issue. They took part in demonstration to express the issues that they had while working for the same firm but in the several plants. Next is the reason behind the problems. There are few causes for each of the problems mentioned in the aforementioned article. First, the management stated corporate losses as the reason the new agreement could not be signed. which is the cause of the first problem. When the business fails to extend the agreement that expired on December 31st, 2018, as it has done in the past every 3 years, as a dispute develops between the company and the union representing its employees. Therefore, V. Vijayan, the Northern Region Industrial Relation Officer for the Malaysian Trade Unions Congress MTUC, claimed that they had negotiated a peaceful resolution to the issue with management. The Malaysian Trade Union Congress MTUC has offered a number of proposals to help the company feel less burdened, which is the second reason for the second issue. In addition to double rises and other recommendations, one of them calls for salary adjustment and win-win scenarios for both employees and businesses. However, the company merely wishes to provide a consoling pay raise. Even though there had already been 6 sessions of discussion, the most recent being on February 19, the corporation had suffered losses. Thus, the new agreement could not be signed. Therefore, Mr. V. Vijayan, the Northern Area Industrial Relation Officer for the Malaysian Trade Union Congress MTUC, issued a warning. If they were unable to resolve this issue, it will be brought before the industrial court. The employees' frustration and dissatisfaction with the employees' response to breaking a commitment to extend the expired joint agreement is the last reason for the third problem, and they had demanded a compensation adjustment. In order to assert their rights, the workers have organized a non-violent demonstration in front of the plant.
Okay, next from this slide, you can see the impacts or implication or effects for this issue. Okay, one effect of the problem discussed in this article is that employees find it difficult to support themselves. By September 2020, there will be more than 15.19 million workers in Malaysia. Over 2.91 million of them would belong to the B40 group and have monthly salaries under 4,360 ringgit. They put in a lot of effort to provide for their children at home, to purchase food and to settle their debts. To live comfortably, they require a wage that is sufficient. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of cruel companies who pay these workers pitifully little money. The second effect of this problem is a decline in both productivity and job satisfaction. This is due to the fact that an employee satisfaction would diminish and the quality and productivity of the product that must be supplied to the client if the salary is not proportional with the number of hours worked. Long term, this issue will result in the same demonstration as those in the essay, have an impact on how customers perceive our performance and influence whether or not they still require our services. Additionally, the degree of loyalty to the business or organization is the third effect of this problem. We all know that employees are people, and most people treat other people by the way they want to be treated. When a manager or employer acts arbitrarily against his staff, as when workers seek a raise, when managers promise to increase an employee's pay but then fail to do so, the employee will feel unappreciated and unhappy, which will reduce their level of loyalty to the businesses. In order to earn the respect of their supervisors and ensure that the manager will keep their word the following time, some employees may break machine or even steal money from the businesses. Next is the principles and concept in this issue. Reasons for joining a trade union are a connected idea that can be understood in the light of the problems raised in the article. In Chapter 2, Establishment of a Trade Union with reference to TUA 1959, this subject is covered. The idea explains why people join unions and the advantages that they may experience as a result. It has to do with why we should join a union for our own benefit. Some employees join a union because they think the organization can negotiate better terms for them, including improved salary and working conditions. This notion focuses on the benefits that persons who join a trade union receive that are absent for other workers who do not do the same. The idea of an internal union in the private sector is another one that is connected to the topic of the chosen article. This idea is covered in Chapter 2, Establishing a Trade Union with reference to the TUA of 1959. A union in an organization is an in-house union. This idea relates to a trade union whose members all work for the same company at the same location. Instead of referring to workers from outside the organization or company, it is about internal work or activities carried out by employees of the organization or firm. The goal of an internal union is to forge tight ties between management and workers, which can promote tranquil labor dispute and boost production. This is the explanation of the concepts related to this issue. Using the first idea as a foundation, a trade union is an independent association or group of workers that acts as a voice to regulate relations between employers and employees with the goal of improving good industrial relations, enhancing both parties' economic and social status, and identifying ways to increase productivity for the benefit of all parties. A trade union is a separate organization. It is an organization created inside a certain trade, career, or industry to safeguard employees' rights and enhance working conditions. Employees who have reached the age of majority over 16 and who are pertinent to their professions, occupation, or industry are eligible to join a union. Trade union membership is only permitted to bona fide members who are at least 18 years old. Additionally, some employment types are prohibited from joining trade unions whose membership falls under a different category than they do. People enlist in unions for a variety of reasons. Economic motivation is one of the causes for joining a trade union. Members of a trade union have the opportunity to raise their pay by joining the trade union. Together, they can tell their employers that they want a raise in pay or a bonus. Their economy can be boosted as a result. People who join trade unions won't have to worry about money issues because a healthy economy is given. The second reason people join unions is to stop unjust treatment and exploitation. Members of the union may take legal action against the offending party if there is exploitation and unfair behavior among employers and employees in an organization. They could band together to fight against wrongdoing. People who join trade unions to uphold the truth and secure their rights benefit from this. When they stand together, they have the ability to voice their opinions and show the offending person their displeasure. This will demonstrate that any member of a trade union may receive justice. Each union member is treated equally in the eyes of the law. According to the second idea, an internal union is a particular kind of private sector union. A trade union known as an in-house union has members who are all employed by the same employer at the same location. Regardless of the type of trade occupation industry, it involves a different union for each company or enterprise. It consists of employees who are employed by the same company. The Telekom Berhad Employee Union and Tenaga Nasional Employee Union are two instances of internal union in Malaysia. Peaceful labor relations and an increase in production might result in a strong relationship between the union and the employer in an internal union. The productivity of the workforce will increase. The company that supplies them with financial aid, physical facilities, and management representative will involve in administering the union may have direct control over the workers. In-house unions still have benefits and drawbacks, though better management union relation result from in-house unions since there is no outside meddling. Additionally, internal unions are better equipped to grasp a company's requirement and workplace issues than a full-time representative of a national occupational union. Leaders of internal unions are more likely to approach discussion with management in a cooperative rather than a combative manner. In-house unions have the drawback of typically being weak because its membership is restricted to employees of a single company. Next, tiny membership in-house unions won't be able to offer its members benefits like scholarship. Additionally, the union financial stability will prevent it from engaging in its typical trade unions operations. The leadership of these unions must also be chosen from the tiny group of members, which raises the chance that the employee will try to take advantage of that leader. Finally, it will increase union members that dread of being victimized by their employer. Leaders, especially regarding management prerogatives such promotions, termination of employment, transfer, and assignment of assignment. As you can see from this slide, this is a concept related to the issue highlighted. Employees of a steel mine in Jalan Chen Ferry are asking that their employer handle their compensation adjustment issue, which has been on hold for more than a year, as it is highlighted in the associated notion. It is because, as was customary every 3 years, The dispute between the corporation and the workers' union was not renewed after it expired on December 31st on 2018. The factory employees claim that this problem is the first to arise since they began working there. The business needs to raise the workers' wages to reflect the increasing cost of living. This prompts people to desire to take legal action to restore their rights as the employer has broken his promise to them. As we can see, it is connected to the idea of the motivation for union membership in Chapter 2. The manufacturing workers weren't happy that what had happened because their management had acted unfairly. As a result, the manufacturing workers used the trade union channel to express their demand that the situation be resolved through collective bargaining and dispute resolution with their bosses. To guarantee that management is not overburdened, the manufacturing workers have made a number of ideas, including salary adjustment with 2-time increments. However, the management only provided one raise with sagu hati. Sadly, if they are unable to settle this matter, it will be brought before the industrial court. When manufacturing workers are employed by the same company regardless of their occupations, there are problems that are brought up in relation to the associated notions. Since they work for the same company, it is simpler for them to address the management directly. In response to the rising cost of living, the report claims that the union representing manufacturing workers is directly addressing management with demands for greater salaries and a renewal of the contract. Due to the problems that emerged, over 80 firm employees held a non-violent protest outside the workplace. As we can see, it is connected to the idea of an internal union in the private sector. One of the drawbacks of in-house unions is that they can make union officials fearful of being victimized by the employers, especially when it comes to salaries. It is because the management is dependent on the factory workers. Therefore, the management can control employees more easily. The plant's workers said the 6th round of conversation with management had been held to address the issue. The new agreement, however, could not be signed because of losses the company had incurred, according to the management. As a result, it has an impact on workers' cost of living compared to low-income households. In order to find a solution, particularly renewing the joint agreement, Malaysian Trade Union Congress MTUC Northern Regional Industrial Relation Officer V. Vijaya will consult the management of the company. Okay, next slide. My friend Alexter Isaac will represent the next topic. Thank you so much. That's all from me. Thank you.
Over here, we can see a few suggestions to resolve the disputes between employers and employees. The first one being obvious is which all parties involved must sit down and have a talk or discuss about the issue and how to fix it, because the problems must have a solution. The sole response given following the 6 meetings between the management of the company and the Industrial Liaison Officer of the Malaysian Trades Union Congress, or MTUC. When workers are already using this approach, management of the iron plant company should be fully involved in the decision-making. Company management should use one of the decision-making ideas, namely bilateral, in labor relations. Resolving a conflict between an employer and an employee is for both parties to be aware of their respective rights and obligations. The company's management did not fully interact with the Malaysian Trades Union Congress, or MTUC. The necessity that 2 persons engage in decision-making is referred to as bilateral. To guarantee that both parties are confident in their rights and prevent problems, they might come to an agreement regarding the working hours, salary, and other aspects of their work. The management of the corporation displayed bias by rejecting the suggestion offered by congressional representatives. They claimed that the management of the company has said that it has suffered losses and it could not resolve the problems that the employees are suffering. The conclusion to our discussion: bosses have a duty to look out for the well-being of every employee as a leader in the firm. The bosses are obligated to consistently give their fair share of services for the benefit of the company, and as an employee, they play a significant function in a business. Employees must face serious punishment, including penalties, if they willfully underpay employees' salaries and do not improve their pay. Our workplace rights are protected by the law. If an employer disregards their obligations, employees may pursue legal action. Employees may face legal action based on the infraction committed, such as being given a notice of compliance, compounded action, or prosecution. Employers and employers will take more serious steps to hasten discussions on modifying the Employment Act of 1955 and the Trade Union Act of 1959 to conform to the new standards. The rights and welfare of employees harmed by employer misbehavior can be protected. The application can make sure that employers and workers abide by state labor regulations. For example, the Malaysian Trades Union Congress, MTUC, has also called on the government to completely revise the Employment Act of 1955.